Okay, good day, class. So this is a recorded session. This is actually a connection between the last topic for your first exam, and this is connected already for your topics, the initial topics for your second exam. So let's recap what we have discussed sa previous na session. So we have discussed about the division of criminalistics. Yan. Kasi ang criminalistics po, it is the scientific part or focuses on the scientific part of criminology. Okay? So maraming mga fields of sciences na ginagamit in order to successfully solve crimes and identify those individuals. So we have the branch of chemistry, talks about chemists and also chemicals. Not just chemicals, but also other fluids, whether it is from the body of a living organism or chemically produced fluids. Okay? So, node physics, it also includes the branch of ballistics and dito sa criminology, kasama na rin yung firearms identification. Not only that, we also try to understand traffic investigation, of course, with physics. Because physics involves the movement of objects. Yan. And yung effects ng mga objects na yun when they come into contact with another object, whether it is moving or stationary. Yan. Di ba sa traffic investigation or sa traffic mismo, yung mga sasakyan, gumagalaw. And of course, each of them have different weights, different types of vehicles. At merong mga certain marks na maiiwan nila sa daan, in which it could be used by traffic investigators to identify the hypothetical na situation before nangyari yung impact or yung collision yung banggaan. Of course, we have biology. It does not only tackle dito sa criminology about living organisms or yung buhay, but also when living organisms die. At anong magiging effects ng death? Anong mangyayari sa katawan ng tao when it dies? Either naturally or yung accidental or yung mga tao or mga organisms na sinadyang patayin. Okay? Yung habits nila, yung characteristics nila, and of course, yung lifespan ng living organisms, including human beings, of course. Also, we have discussed about the technical aspects of criminalistics. Okay? Meron tayo yun, yung sinabi ko, firearms identification. That's part of your forensic ballistics na subject. Not only the identification of bullets, shots, or guns, but also yung mga certain characteristics in manufacturing guns and bullets, pati na rin yung mga individual characteristics, whether it's unique or yung class characteristics na meron when a manufacturer of a firearm produces a bullet or a firearm. Meron din tayo, one of your subjects in the near future, question document examination. So it probably would give you an insight on how criminals use documents in order to attain their goals, which is of course oppressive and a violation of law. Yan. Maring madaya kasi ang document, whether it's birth certificate, deeds of sale, yan, land title, or even medical certificates. Of course, question document examination, we also try to differentiate forgery from falsification. Yan. Ang kaiba ng forgery at falsification. Not only that, we also try to identify the behavior of a certain writer through his or her handwriting. Parte yan ng graphology. Okay? with the use of certain chemicals, with the use of certain instruments and processes. Well, of course, it has aid from other fields of sciences, then because it could lead us to the solving of crimes, then it's part of the criminalistics na program or yung criminalistics na side ng criminology. And of course, fingerprint identification or personal identification. Hindi lang po fingerprints, but also it tackles about personal identification as a whole. Pwede yung DNA, yung deoxyribonucleic acid. Pwede yung anthropometry or yung body measurements, number of bones. Odontology, we also try to discuss that sa personal identification. Odontology, yan yung para sa ngipin. Identification ng isang individual through the teeth or number of teeth, pati positioning. Okay? So, itong fingerprint identification specifically can aid the police investigators in identifying certain individuals who are involved in certain violations of law. 'Di ba? Meron tayong exchange principle na kung saan ang isang individual once he goes into the crime scene or is in a crime scene, he exchanges something and of course the crime scene exchanges something with him, 'di ba? May naiiwang footprints at fingerprints ang isang perpetrator or isang victim sa crime scene. At the same time, yung mga footprints or fingerprints could somehow trace back kung ano yung mga portions ng building or mga bagay na nag-come into contact with that person. And it connects to the point na yung individual na yan was inside the crime scene at any given point. So yan yung silbi ng fingerprint identification, part of personal identification. Okay? Sunod. Yan, forensic photography. So we try to use the aid of the camera in order to create a permanent copy or a permanent picture of what was discovered sa crime scene when it was first discovered. Yan. During the time na yung SOCO would do crime scene processing. Yan. Napakaraming subtypes ng photography. Sunod, polygraphy or the use of the polygraph instrument, a scientific method, a proven scientific method which tries to detect bodily changes of a person when encountering a certain questioning or a certain question. It tries to detect deception or verify the truth. Yan. Pero itong polygraphy o yung resulta ng polygraph examination hindi matatanggap sa korte. Generally because courts, not just in our country, but also sa ibang country, hindi ito tinatanggap na viable and sure kind of evidence to somehow prove the guilt or verify a statement of a person. Yan. So itong polygraphy, simultaneous recording yan. While an examiner is trying to question an individual or a subject, simultaneously nire-record niya yung mga movements and changes ng kanyang katawan with regards to the subject. Okay? So, it tries to measure, tingnan nyo to. Di ba may dalawang mga cords dito, mga tubular cords? They try to measure respiratory rate or yung breathing. Malay mo sa isang question, mas dumalas ang inhalation at exhalation ng isang individual. Yan, sa kamay, of course. Merong mga finger electrodes which would try to somewhat measure the sweat of an individual upon a certain period in the questioning. Hindi nyo nakikita, inupuan ng subject dito isang sensitive na electronic pad. Inupuan niya yan in order to determine the positioning ng buttocks or ng body when a question or certain questions are being given to the subject. Yan. And of course, they are all recorded. Ngayon, kasi digital na tayo, 21st century, so with the use of an electronic polygraph instrument with less moving parts, then it makes it easier and mas mabilis i-set up. Yan. Hindi lang yan. Meron din tayong yan, cuff o yung arm cuff which measures the cardiovascular movements ng isang tao, yung blood pressure. Yan. Okay, so kung sa skin, ang tinatawag dyan, galvanic skin resistance. And of course, alam nyo naman yung blood pressure at pulse rate. Diba? So those are somewhat the equipments involved in a polygraph instrument. So we also discussed the main schools of thought sa criminology. Pero hindi schools of thought itong lahat because basically yung iba school lang, not really a school of thought. Okay? So classical school of thought, we have discussed that. Basically tackling about human free will and hedonism. Ulitin ko yung hedonism kung natatandaan nyo. Basically, pleasure. And of course, naturally, ang isang human being would try to avoid pain and would seek pleasure. Iniiwasan niya yung masakit. Yan. Pero merong iba na doon talaga sa bawal pumupunta. Yan. And of course, sa classical school, because an individual naturally has a rational calculator, binabalanse niya kung ano ang magiging positive effects and negative effects ng isang action, then if a person uses it, he could weigh in the costs and benefits of a certain action. Okay? Malalaman ng tao kung itong bagay na to mas maganda compared sa ibang mga actions. Okay? Sunod, positivist school. Dito tayo sa ilalim. Yan. Sa positivist school, it presumes that criminal behavior is caused by an internal or external factor. Kung internal, maybe yung nature o yung heredity or external factor. For example, yung mga natututunan ng isang tao through the course of his life. Okay? So, it may or may not be within the control of an individual. Okay? So, yung mga individuals na kasapi sa positivist school, and of course, mainly si Cesar Lombroso. Yan. Considered the father of criminology, the father of modern criminology. Yan. He identified yung three types of criminal para sa kanya: the atavist, the insane, and the criminaloid. Atavist, yung pagpangit ka, criminal ka. Yun. Based on physical features, especially sa muka. If it tackles about the facial features, it is called physiognomy. Yan. Kung yung shape ng skull, yan. It is craniology or craniometry. Yan. Yan. Craniometry. Yan. Physiognomy, yung sa taas, or kung mismo yung buong skull, pati yung face. Yan. Phrenology. Okay, yan yun. Itabis, pag pangit ang physique, criminal ka. Pinanganak ka niyan eh. Sunod, insane criminal. From the word insane, merong certain mental defects ang isang individual kaya gumawa siya ng behavior na hindi naman within the norms or yung socially accepted behavior. Pag criminaloid naman, habitual criminals. Yung paulit-ulit na lang gumagawa ng krimen. Yan. Maraming rason, either abuse of alcohol or other substances, or those individuals who were criminals because of sudden urge o yung impulse. Yan yung tinatawag ng mga criminals who are under those who committed crimes with passion. Yan, or criminal by passion. Yan, yung mga maiinitin ng ulo, mga impulsive, hindi nag-isip sa kanilang mga actions, and those who commit those actions violently and immediately. Okay, so yun yung criminaloid. Ayan yun, the other individuals or key individuals sa positivist school, of course, mga students ni Cesar Lombroso, si Enrico Ferri at si Rafael Garofalo. Yan. So, para kay Enrico Ferri, yan, maraming factors ang nagiging dahilan for a criminal behavior. Yan. And those factors, especially sa mga insane criminals, are those biological factors without their control or yung wala sa control nila. Okay? Sunod, itong kay Rafael Garofalo, ang sa kanya naman sa positivism, he treated offenders as sick people. And of course, supported the position that crime can be understood only if it is studied with the use of scientific methods. Okay? Yan yung contribution ni Rafael Garofalo. So, ulitin ko ipakita yung table between classical theory and positivist theory. Okay, so let's proceed next. The third school of thought na parte sa Big Four theories sa criminology schools or sa criminology is itong Chicago School ni Robert Ezra Park at Ernest Burgess. So ito, mas bago ito compared sa positivist school at sa classical school kasi ito nagsimula nung 1920s at lumobo ang pag-understand nila nung 40s or 1940s. Ayan. So, nung mga panahon na yun, na-identify na magkaibigan ng mga sociologists na si Robert Ezra Park at ni Ernest Burgess, na-identify nila through their researches and studies na merong 5 concentric zones that exist once merong syudad or a city would grow. Yan. Or yung mga zones na kinakailangan habang lumalago ang isang syudad. Lumarami yung tao, di ba? Yan. So, according sa kanilang dalawa, ito yung Chicago School Model. Basically, sila mga graduates, iyon sila ng University of Chicago. So, itong concentric zone model nila merong 5 zones. Yan. Itong mga 5 zones na ito, existing to sila because once a city will develop, let's start with number 5. Mas maraming tao, di ba? Mas maraming tao, pero kakaunti yung transportation, then maraming mga commuters ang mainis, magagalit. So, if hindi yan ma-address ng government, then they will be assured of the increased risk of violence. Yan. Gusto nila itong magtrabaho eh. And of course, marami na rin nagtatrabaho sa isang syudad. What if hindi sila makakapasok on time or hindi talaga makakapasok sa trabaho? So magagalit sila because their lives depend on their work. Sunod, number 4, residential zone. Habang rumarami yung tao sa isang syudad, rumarami ang mga areas ng syudad na kailangan merong residents. Rumarami yung residents, di ba? Kasi dumadami yung tao. So, the more people are in a certain place, the more higher the chances of crimes occurring. Rumarami ang tao, rumarami ang krimen. Yun. And because people need a place to stay, people need a place to call their home and to rest, and of course, kailangan talaga yan, especially when you're working. Diba? Of course, kung wala yan, mas maraming taong mainis. And of course, the increased risk of committing crimes is there. Sunod, working class zone. Habang rumarami ang tao sa isang syudad, mas maraming workers. Kasi marami ring mga negosyo sa nasabing syudad. But what if maraming mga able-bodied people, yung working community, nasa isang lugar pero kakaunti lang trabaho? So, mag-aagawan sila sa resources. Mag-aagawan din sila sa mga open na job vacancies. And what if, of course, nakita ng isa na parang dehado siya. So, gagawa siya ng behavior or ng bagay na not really accepted as a social norm, which can result to commission of crimes. Sunod, meron tayong zones of transition. Okay? So, yung zones of transition, may mga tao, di ba, na magmamigrate from one city to another city kasi nakita nila yung bagong syudad, maraming tao, maraming trabaho, mas magandang mamuhay. So, once they arrive to a new city and settle there, merong zones of transition. Yung transitory phase, pagbabago sa environment, sa trabaho, and such. But also, that zone of transition na kung saan hindi pa nila wala pa nila nakapa ang environment, then they are much more prone, for example, sa pangingilad. They're much prone also for being victims of crimes. Kasi unang-una, alam na mga criminals na bago lang sila sa area, hindi pa nila alam kung saan magre-report or paano depensahan ang kanilang sarili sa bago nilang lugar. Okay? So, yan. Dito kasi sa Chicago School of Thought, yan, yung mga sociologists na bumuo nito, they postulated that urban neighborhoods, yung mga syudad, mga big cities with high levels of poverty often experience breakdown in the social structure. For example, sa Manila, meron silang lugar doon, yung Tondo. Most of the residents of Tondo are slum residents. Hindi taga Maynila, most common sa kanila, pumunta lang doon kasi may trabaho. At yung trabaho pinunta nila doon, hindi naman ganun kalaki ang sweldo. At yung kinatitirikan ng kanilang bahay, ilang mga balay dito, dili man sila permanent residents. Dili pod ilahang yuta. Which, as it is related with poverty and the lack of jobs and the lack of education, mas maraming krimen ang mangyayari. And once those crimes are uncontrollable virtually, then it could result into the breakdown of social norms. Makikita ng tao na yung mga pulis hindi makaresponde. Yung mga serbisyo ng gobyerno ay hindi nararating o hindi makakarating. Yan. And of course, para sa mga bata, hindi sila makakapag-aral. Kasi nga, disorganized ang kanilang lugar. That comes with increase of population. Other important contributors sa criminology, please take note of their names. Adolf Quetelet, yan. Gumamit siya ng data, specifically statistical analysis data, para malaman niya yung relationship between crime and sociological factors. Yan. His study is that nalalaman ang level ng crime sa isang lugar through categorizing individuals by their age, gender, poverty, educational attainment, and alcohol consumption. Those are important factors for criminality. Kasi itong si Adolf or si Adolphe Quetelet, yan, kung Bisaya, iyang nakita na ay mga incidents or criminal reports na ay mga tao na siguro most of them consumes alcohol greatly. Mga lasinggero. And those places with less crimes are attributed na mas less din yung mga taong nagko-consume ng alcohol. The same goes with poverty. Pag ang isang lugar noted na poverty-stricken area, mas mataas ang number of crimes na nangyayari doon compared to a secluded place na hindi mo makikitang may poverty kasi lahat may trabaho. Ayan. He also related that the lack of education could result into commission of crimes. Sunod, si Rawson, W. Rawson. Yan. He utilized crime statistics. Yan. Crime statistics, yung number crunching ang tawag nila. For example, ang Davao City, may lesser crime index, naririnig nyo yan? Lesser crime index compared to other cities, especially sa Metro Manila. Siguro attributed din yung mas kakaunti lang tao sa Davao City compared sa sabihin natin sa Quezon City. Pero he used those to determine which of those places are somewhat successful in their fight against crime. Yan. And he also related his study to the Chicago School of Thought na kung saan yung link between population density o yung rami ng tao and crime rates is of course very much related. Kambal toko talaga. Crowded cities with a crowded environment creates more crime and is much more conducive for crime compared sa mga rural areas na kanang katag kaayo mga tao. Dili kayo dool and also dili pod daghan. Henry Mayhew used empirical methods, please take note of that, and an ethnographic approach na kung saan nade-determine ang levels of crime sa isang area by their ethnicity or yung siguro yung cultural group nila. One study na medyo current is about Alaska, yung state of Alaska, the 49th state sa United States. Kung saan dahil meron silang native na Alaskans, yung mga Eskimos, at yun silang mga Eskimos sanay gumamit ng baril, then with their research and through the use of empirical methods, yung research na yun, nasabi na Sa mga lugar na maraming Eskimo sa Alaska, mas marami ang mga krimen na nangyayari involving guns. Kasi known ang Eskimos na mga hunters, magaling at mahilig gumamit ng baril, maghilig mag-hunting. Sunod, Emil Durkheim. He viewed crime as an inevitable aspect of society. Ibig sabihin, hindi na yan siya mawawala. Crime could not be stopped 100%. It is there to stay. Yan. And of course, with that kind of viewpoint, he also attributed one of his studies na kung saan, yan, anomy or normlessness. Pag walang mga batas, walang equal distribution ng services ng government, walang equal distribution ng wealth sa isang lugar, then ang magiging resulta, itong anomy or normlessness. Buong araw, buong linggo, buong taon, galit yung mga tao sa isa't isa. And they will not recognize law. Okay, sunod. Sir Alec Jeffreys. He is known to be the inventor or the discoverer of DNA. Yan. Deoxyribonucleic acid. And he used DNA together with fingerprints as an identification of an individual. Kasi itong DNA din, unique to an individual. Sunod, Alphonse Bertillon. Itong si Alphonse Bertillon, a French law enforcement officer, siya ang nag-invent or nag-create ng anthropometry, an identification system based on the measurement ng body, specifically the bones. Number of bones, length ng bones, yan. He used it to identify criminals. Pero may mga landmark cases na kung saan magkakapareho yung body measurements ng dalawang tao. Paano yan? So, during that time, hindi na tinanggap universally ang anthropometry as a sure thing in identifying a unique individual. Yun na ang panahon na kung saan mas pinaglaanan ng mga tao ang kanilang interest sa fingerprints. Wilhelm Adrian Bonger, yan, Dutch criminologist, he believed in a causal link between crime and economic and social conditions. Ibig sabihin, economic and social conditions. Na kung saan meron mga tao or mga grupo ng tao or certain cultures na kung saan pag wala kang pera, wala kang mapaparating. Yan. And those certain cultures depend on money for survival. Ayan. Pero meron ding ibang mga kultura na hindi na kailangan ng masyadong pera. Kasi marunong silang mag-hunting at abundant ang kanilang lugar ng mga natural resources. Okay? Next. Ayan. So, there are two laws dito sa ating bansa na kung saan tayo ang focus. Hindi lang kami mga criminologists, but also for you students of criminology. Yan. So, first is RA 6506. Yan. So, RA 6506 is an act creating the Board of Examiners for Criminologists in the Philippines and yung guidelines sa practice na criminology. So it actually creates a more formal program sa study ng criminology, and it created the Board of Examiners for Criminologists. For short, nagkaroon ng board exam para sa criminologists o yung licensure exam. But then, Matagal na yan. 1960s pa yung batas na yan. But nung panahon ni Presidente Rodrigo Duterte noong 2018, noong December 2018, nilagdaan niya ang correction, repealed, o yung pagbabago ng batas. It substitutes RA 6506 and creates a new law, RA 11131. Yan yung bagong batas para sa ating mga nag-aaral sa criminology profession at yung mga nasa profession na mismo. Yan. It repealed or it changes the old law, RA 6506, and improves it with a brand new one, yung RA 11131. Okay? So, ayan yan. Also, kung hindi nyo nalalaman, maraming mga eskwela ng criminology sa buong bansa. Not just here. Pero luckily sa University of Mindanao, we are one of those more renowned schools nationwide in relation to the criminology program. Okay? So, that sums up for some parts ng first exam ninyo. Sunod, we will try to discuss about yung tungkol na naman sa second exam ninyo, yung coverage nun. So, please stand by for a while. Okay, so let's go back. One question, is criminology a formal science? Alam naman natin na gumagamit ng ibang applied sciences sa criminology. Well, to tell you honestly, criminology is not a formal science, but it hopes to become an independent and formal science. Hindi tayo considered na independent na siyensya kasi nagdedepende tayo sa ibang forms of sciences to successfully become a formal science. Nagdedepende tayo sa biology, sa chemistry. Nagdedepende tayo sa toxicology and others. That's why we're not a formal and independent science. Yan. But we are hoping someday to become an independent science. Yan. So, again, criminology is not yet a science. It was coined by Edwin Sutherland and Donald Cressy. Si Donald Cressy, American yan. Pero ito si George Wilker, sinabi niya na ang criminology cannot possibly become a science. The reason is, may kakulangan sa scientific studies and the lack of universal proposition of crime and criminal behavior sa buong mundo. Wala pang mga long-standing na mga studies or constant studies na naging law mismo. Kasi mostly theories. But George Wilker said he is hoping na someday maging siyensya na talaga ang criminology. So again, to refresh your mind, the scope of criminology, ito yun. First, criminal sociology, it studied the effects of social conditions on crime and criminals. Yan, including yung machinery ng gobyerno, which is the criminal justice system. Yan. Criminal sociology, anong epekto ng krimen sa isang lugar, sa isang tao. Criminal psychiatry naman, ito, study of human mind in relation to criminality. Meron bang mga certain defects sa mental faculties ng isang offender or wala? At kung ano ba yung mga certain mind conditions? Basically relating to psychology and psychiatry. Itong psychiatry kasi, it refers to the medical field na kung saan gumawa ang isang individual ng krimen, siguro may sakit siya sa brain or yung defect sa brain. When we say psychology or criminal psychology, yan, it talks about the behavior of an individual. So, ulitin ko, criminal psychiatry, sakit sa pag-iisip, yung mental illness talaga. When we say criminal psychology, it pertains to the behavior of an individual in relation to his works of mind. Yan, behavior mainly. Yan, criminal ecology, the study of criminality in relation to spatial distribution on a community. Pasabutan spatial distribution. Sa isang lugar ba, may slum areas? Meron bang mga high-end areas? Yan. At kung saang areas between those, ang mas maraming krimen ang nangyayari. Which of those places ang merong increased risk of criminality? Okay, sunod. Criminal demography. Study of the relationship between criminology and population. Kagaya kanina sa Chicago School of Thought, pag rumarami ang tao, mas rumaraming krimen ang nangyayari. The relationships being explained in criminal demography. When we say criminal epidemiology, yan, epidemiology ang dapat. The study of the relationship between environment and criminality. Yan. Pag lumaki bang isang bata sa lugar na maraming snatchers, maraming magnanakaw, lalaki ba siyang magnanakaw or hindi? Yan. It's one of those questions. Sunod, criminal physical anthropology. The study of criminality in relation to physical constitution of men. Yan, yung physical being ng tao. Mas increased ba ang pag-commit ng crimes ng mga healthy individuals compared to those individuals na merong mga physical defects o yung mga hindi masyado healthy? And of course, part of the scope is victimology, the study of the role of the victim in the commission of the crime. Yan. For example, rape. Constant debate. Na-rape ba siya dahil sa suot niya? Or na-rape ba siya dahil sa itsura niya? Yan. I could not give you an answer because it is so sensitive. Yan. Sensitive yan. Huwag tayo masyadong showbiz dyan. But victimology, the study of the role of the victim in the commission of a crime. For example, na-snatch yung biktima. Ano bang ginawa niya? O ano bang mga measures ang nagawa niya with regards to the stolen property? For example, cellphone. Ibutang ba niya yung cellphone sa iyahang back pocket, sa iyang puwet? O niya dali ra makabot sa snatcher? O nilagay ba niya sa bag yung cellphone niya at pinilit buksan ng snatcher? Yan. Ano yung mga measures with regards to the victim? So before we go forward to your coverage for the second exam, sa practice tayo ng criminology. Yung criminology in the Philippines, yan. Ang RA 6506 was enacted nung 70s. Actually, early 70s. July 1, 1972. Yan. Na kung saan nagkaroon na ng board exam ang criminology profession. And soon after, mas rumami na ang mga schools na nag-o-offer ng criminology program. Yan. So, as per the Commission on Higher Education Memorandum Order o yung CMO 21 series of 2005, ang criminology profession merong 6 subject areas. Okay? May 6 subject areas po tayo sa criminology. Okay, baka nakakalimutan nyo, 6 subject areas. Lalagay ko yan. 6 subject areas ng criminology in the Philippines. Okay? So, 6 subject areas po tayo. First subject area po natin is criminal jurisprudence. Yan. So, ipapakita ko. Meron tayong 6 subject areas of criminology in the Philippines. Yan. Una is criminal jurisprudence o yung tinatawag na law. Criminal law. Of course, kung ikaw ay isang law enforcer or a future law enforcer, a criminologist, you must be at least knowledgeable ng basic characteristics of law. So, meron tayong law subjects. Sunod, number 2. Meron tayo criminal sociology. Tackles about the theories and laws on why crimes happen at yung epekto ng krimen sa isang tao or sa maraming tao. The sociology of crime. Sunod, meron tayong criminalistics. Yan. Instrumentation, paggamit ng mga chemicals, ng mga equipment, of course, through examinations, and you would be presenting those and providing them sa korte. Yan. It becomes forensic. Sunod, number 4. Meron tayong law enforcement administration. Yan. Law enforcement administration. Philippine setting, paano minamanage ang isang law enforcement agency or a unit ng law enforcement agency. Yan. For example, police records management. Yan. Also included dyan, comparative police system. Kino-compare natin yung policing system natin sa ibang bansa. Yan. Law Enforcement Administration or LEA. Sunod, meron tayong crime detection and investigation. Yan, yung mahilig sa mga investigations. We try to teach you how investigations are being done. Anong mga procedures, mga protocols na sinusunod. At ano yung mga common characteristics ng certain crimes and how to investigate them and identify perpetrators. Ano yung mga techniques? Okay? Yan yung nasa CDI or Crime Detection and Investigation. And lastly, we have sa number 6, correctional administration. Diba may penology? Diba? Penology, the study of punishments. So, sabihin natin nagkaroon na ng judgment si offender. Ilalagay na siya sa kulungan. How would prison facilities, how would jails manage offenders? Anong mga programa, anong mga procedures nila? Anong considerations nila on why they do this and that to prisoners? Bakit naka-yellow yung ibang prisoners? Bakit yung iba naka-orange? Bakit yung iba naka-gray? 'Di ba? Bakit i-separate yung mga prisoners? Bakit kailangan separated ang babae at lalaki na cells or facilities? It will be answered sa correctional administration. So those are your 6 subject areas for criminology. Okay, so let's proceed to your topics for your second exam. So, nandito yung copy ng inyong module. Meron tayong key terms dyan. Basahin nyo ng maigi yung mga terms na yan and other terms na sa tingin nyo crucial for your learning. So, let's start. Sociology of law. So, basically, it tackles about law and how it is applied to individuals. Yan. So, sociology of law is a diverse field of study which examines the interaction of law with other aspects of society. Anong epekto ng law sa mga criminals? Anong epekto ng law sa mga nagseserbisyo sa gobyerno? Anong epekto ng law sa mga negosyante? Anong epekto ng batas natin sa mga foreigners na gustong gumawa ng krimen dito sa atin? Ayun. Basically that and other doctrines and practices within our field of law. Okay? So, meron tayong mga kinds of laws or types of laws, I mean. There are 2 general types of laws, namely first, natural laws. These are laws that are rooted sa core values and ibinabahagi sa marami. Yung pwede natin ma-consider na law from God or based from a common law system. Natural laws, for example, yung kinoconsider talagang masama, pagpatay, murder or homicide. It's a crime. It could also be a sin. Rape itself, yan. That's obviously a crime. Yan. Assault o yung pananakit ng tao. Yan. Natural laws. Sunod, statutes. Yan, or statutory laws. These are laws enacted by legislature and reflect current cultural na mga modes, yan, mores. And those laws under statutory laws, yan, arguably controversial to. Yan, yung pinapagbawal. Yan, for example, marijuana, gambling. Ayan. So, different fields of criminology ang nagsasabi na yung relationship between the government or the state and the citizen are non-consensual. Ibig sabihin, hindi masyado ganun ka-close. And, sinasabi rin nila na criminal law is not necessarily a representative of public beliefs and wishes. Ibig sabihin, hindi daw pinapakita ng batas kung ano ba talaga ang sentimento ng publiko. Yan. because they said na ang batas or yung statutory laws specifically are just created in the interest of the ruling class or yung dominant class. Yan. Yan yung sinasabi or nilalaban ng ibang mga schools of criminology. Yan. So yan yung tinatawag namin or natin sa criminology ng mga right-wing criminologists. Yan. Conflict criminology, critical criminology, yan. Marxist, yan. Somewhat left-wing. Yan. Communism or socialism in general, yan. Okay? Also, because of statutory laws, nagkakaroon pa ng mas bagong classifications and definitions of crimes. Yan, including blue-collar and white-collar crimes that we will be discussing as we go along this coverage sa second exam. Sunod, divine laws. Those laws that are mainly and originally inscribed sa Holy Book. Quran, Bible, Toran, kung Jewish ka. Yung mga nakalagay sa Biblia. Yung mga pinapagbawal sa Biblia. Those that are considered sins. They are divine laws. Part of divine laws. For example, Ten Commandments. Diba sa mga Katoliko? Ayan. Yung mga dapat mong sundin sa Ten Commandments are somewhat adapted into man's law. Pero itong divine laws nag-iiba depending on the cultural sensitivity of a certain country. Kasi merong mga bansa na mainly Islamic. May mga bansa na mainly Jewish. At may mga bansa na medyo iba. Orthodox yung kanilang paniniwala sa isang God. Also, as nakikita nyo dyan, meron tayong general types of crime. Yan. So, it originated not only from the Chicago School of Thought, but the positivist and classical schools of thought. Yung neoclassical kasama na yon, pero yung neoclassical, it is the new form of a modified classical school. So, andito tayo sa general types of crime. First, blue-collar crime. Yan. So, itong blue-collar crime, these are crimes committed by an individual na nanggagaling sa lower class. At of course, yung mga crimes niya are those na maaari lang gawin ng mga lower class individuals o yung mga classified sa lower class. Yan, for example, snatching, theft, di ba? Blue-collar crime. Ang exact opposite niyan is white-collar crime. We will be discussing that sa next slide. Sunod, corporate crime. These are crimes committed by corporations or business entity, ang mga korporasyon. And of course, dahil ang korporasyon, a corporation is actually a juridical entity, a juridical person, or ang ibig sabihin, a person that is created by law. Yan. These are crimes done by corporations. Yan. For example, falsification ng business entries or hindi pagbabayad ng tax evasion kung sa corporate na world. Pero kung individual, meron din yung tax evasion. Yan. Yung mga krimen na ginagawa nila, for example, economic sabotage, hoarding. Yan. So those are parts ng corporate crime. Sunod, organized crime or criminal organizations. So these are groups of people that are run by criminals and with one purpose, which is to commit crimes and gain monetary profit from those crimes. Yan ang tinatawag sa kanila ng mga sindikato or organized criminals. Again, because meron silang conspiracy, nag-agree sila sa isang bagay na sige, magkakaroon tayo ng income. Pero ang gagamitin natin or gagawin natin mga krimen. Pumatay tayo, magpautang tayo na may mataas masyadong interest. Yan. Magtayo tayo ng mga prostitution dens. Yan. Organized criminals. Organized crime. Sunod, political crime. So these are done mainly by politicians. Of course, political in nature. Yung ginagawa ni Bongbong Marcos kay Leni Robredo, hindi yun political crime, pero once it will be judged or yung final judgment yun nalaman na arguably dinaya ng kampo ni Leni yung vice presidential elections ng 2016 at dapat si Bongbong ang nanalo, then it would become a political crime because it will damage the political system and the government. Yun, na prejudice na or prejudice na nagkaroon na ng epekto sa political scenery ng isang bansa. Political crimes. Public order crimes. From the word public order, it tries to disrupt the public order. It involves acts that interfere with the operations or yung normal operations ng society and the ability of the people to function efficiently. Yan. So, it's considered criminal kasi contrary or against social norms and values. For example, kudeta, na kung saan yung mga sundalo ng gobyerno, kinalaban yung mismong commander-in-chief, yung presidente o yung prime minister. So that is a public order crime. Biruin mo, nakikita mo sa mga lugar sa downtown, yung mga tangke de guerra, mga sundalo, ready to overthrow the government. Kudeta, public order crime. Kasi na didisrupt yung normal na proceedings ng buhay ng mga tao, especially the civilians. Sunod, state crime. It is an activity or failure na sinisira yung mismong gobyerno. For example, yung sa public international law, yan, genocide. Pinatay mo ang isang lahi for reasons na hindi naman katanggap-tanggap. That's a state crime. Violation of a public international law. Yan. It also violates your country's own laws. Sunod, state corporate crime. Yan. So, it is committed by private individuals towards the government na kung saan dinadaya nila ang gobyerno, of course, with their juridical entity as a corporation. Na kung saan, for example, magkakaroon ng bidding para sa magiging contractor sa magtatayo ng tulay. Yung ginawa ng contractor, of course, nanalo sa bidding, pero nakatanggap sila ng budget sa gobyerno, pero hindi nila ginamit ng tama yung budget. At yung produkto nilang tulay substandard. So, nagmisto lang, parang money earning na lang yun. Kahit naman yung produkto ng kanilang trabaho so-so. Way pulos. So, madaling nasira. Yan. It's the policy of the state to ensure that its programs and its deals with private society must be done properly. Yan. Sunod, yung sinabi ko kanina, exact opposite ng blue collar crime, ang white collar crime. Yan. It is done by those in the upper levels of society, yung mga nasa alta sosyedad. Yan, for example, economic sabotage, yung away ng mga may-ari ng mga kumpanya towards each other. Yan. Committed by persons of respectable positions and of high social status within the course of their occupation. Yan, for example, habang CEO siya, eh, hindi siya nagpapasweldo ng tama. Yan. Could be a sabotage to those workers. Pwede yon, white-collar crime. Sunod, malversation ng pondo ng kumpanya. And yung naging culprit, yung CEO. So, ayan, another white-collar crime. When we say victimless crime, again, victimless. A behavior ng individual na pinagbabawal ng batas, pero, of course, dahil enforce siya ng batas, kailangang may masagot, pero wala siyang effect towards others. May effect lang siya for public safety in general. It neither violates nor significantly threatens the rights of another individual. For example, jaywalking. Nagkaroon ng batas sa pagbabawal ng jaywalking not because meron kang naagrabyado or merong biktima. But basically, it is created as a law, as an ordinance for public safety. Walang biktima dyan. Pero merong nagkasala. It is created for public safety, not for any other reason. So let's proceed. The difference between crime and criminal law. Ano ba to sila? So crime is an act committed or omitted in violation of public law, forbidding or commanding it. While criminal law, yan. Criminal law naman, it is the branch or division of law which defines crime. Ano ba yung murder? Its traits? Ano bang elements ng murder? Their nature? Yan. Paano nasasabi ng isang individual ay gumawa ng murder? And provides for their punishment. Anong punishment ng mga ma-judge? Katong ma-judge og murder. Is it 20 years? Is it life imprisonment? Is it death penalty? Yan. So again, crime, it is the act committed or omitted ng isang individual in violation of a public law which forbids or commands it. While criminal law is a branch or division ng law which defines crime, their treats, yung nature nila, and provides for their punishment. So, sources of criminal law natin, first, the Revised Penal Code. Yan. Kodigo Penal ng Pilipinas. Yan. Revised Penal Code. Sunod, special laws, yung mga RAs, mga executive orders, yung mga presidential decrees, yung mga batas na nabuo through the Philippine Assembly or yung lower house and the upper house, yung Congress. Whether it's the National Congress, yan yung House of Representatives or Senate, or yung local lang sa LGU or province, yung sangguniang panlungsod, sangguniang bayan, or yung sangguniang panlalawigan. Yan, mga board members, city or municipal councilors. Yan. And of course, PDs during martial law. Yan. Special penal laws yan siya, pero the thing with PDs nung martial law, si Marcos lang ang may gawa. Walang kongreso nun nung martial law. They were useless. Wala eh. So, separate ang presidential decrees even though special law siya. So, the sources of our criminal law in the Philippines, the sources of criminal law in the Philippines, first, the Revised Penal Code of the Philippines, which was created by virtue of Act number 3815, dated January 1, 1932, ang effect niyan. First, the RPC, Revised Penal Code. Sunod, Special Penal Laws na created ng Legislative Department. Yan. And of course, lastly, Penal Presidential Decrees na inisyo ni Ferdinand Marcos, ni Presidente Marcos, nung martial law. Okay? So, yun yung sources ng criminal law natin. Okay? Sunod, characteristics naman ng criminal law. First, generality. Ang ibig sabihin nito, lahat ng tao na nasa loob ng Pilipinas at ng kanyang teritoryo, whether lalaki, babae, bayot, tomboy, whether Pilipino ka, Amerikano, Japanese, Korean ka, as long as naakasulod sa teritoryo sa Pilipinas, you are adhering or will be under the laws or the criminal laws of the Philippines. Bisag foreigner ka, bisag laki or bahay ka, as long as naka sa teritoryo sa Pilipinas, the criminal law of the Philippines, its penal law is applicable to you. Pero, for every rule, may exemption. Such as, first, heads of state, mga presidente, prime minister, mga hari ng ibang bansa. Even if pumunta sila dito, of course, may rason sila pumunta dito, gumawa sila ng krimen. They would somehow be exempted. Of course. Sunod. Another exemption, foreign diplomats, ambassadors, na duly recognized and accredited ng kanilang bansa. Yan. Exception yan sa generality. Yan. May parang tinatawag na immunity sa kanila, together with those heads of state. Yan. Hindi na sila pwedeng ikulong. Sunod, foreign troops permitted to march within our territory. Except kay Joseph Scott Pemberton kasi ginawa niya yon off-duty. Kung yun ang nangyari, of course, applicable sa kanya yung batas natin. But while they are doing their job and they are in our country, then they are exempted from the laws of our land. Sunod, the second of those characteristics of our criminal law, territoriality. Ibig sabihin, yung mga batas natin enforceable or is taking effect within our territory and up until our exclusive economic zone. Lahat ng batas natin connected sa public international law. At yung mga batas natin would take effect within our territory and inside our embassies sa different countries around the world. Di ba may mga embahada tayo, mga konsulado sa iba't ibang bahagi ng mundo. Our laws take effect also inside those embassies natin. Yan. So, also, sa territoriality na characteristic, merong pinagbabawal. Ex post facto law. What this means is, a penal law cannot make an act punishable in a way it was not punishable when committed. For example, ngayong araw, merong bagong batas na pinagbabawal ang pag-iihi. Yan. Tapos kahapon umihi ka. So hindi ka pwedeng hulihin dahil umihi ka kahapon. Yan. So again, first characteristic, generality. Second, territoriality. Yan. So sa territoriality rin, sakop lahat. The atmosphere up until the space. Our interior waters, yung mga dagat within our territories, and yung maritime zone natin, yung 12-mile limit together with our EEZ, Exclusive Economic Zone. So, yung Exclusive Economic Zone is 200 nautical miles from the nearest shore. Yan yung Exclusive Economic Zone. Yung territory natin is 12 miles from the nearest shoreline of our territories to the sea, 12 miles away. That is our territory. So yung batas natin dahil territoriality ang principle, it is enforced within our territory, whether sea, land, air, and even space. So, meron tayong dalawang theories of territoriality, which I will be discussing sa next na session. Okay, so there are theories of territoriality. First, yung French rule, the French theory, and the English theory. So I will discuss that on the next meeting. For now, thank you for listening, and this will be recorded in your